Okay, ready when you are, Mayor Clerk.
I know.
I'll call this meeting of the Seward City Council to order. It is 7 p.m. We did it. Monday, February 10th, 2025. Chief, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Would you please call the roll?
Roll call for tonight's meeting. Finch. Here. Osenga.
Here.
Warner.
Here.
Wells.
Here.
Barnwell. Here. Kreitz.
Here.
And Mayor McClure.
Here.
Okay, you have a quorum.
Okay. We're now at citizen comments on any subject except items scheduled for public hearing. Do we have anything for public hearing? We do not. So anything's on the table. You'll have 3 minutes for this section. If you signed in, you'll get first shot, and then I'll take shows of hands. There's a 36-minute total for this, and when you come up to the reddish chair there, speak into the mic, and we need to know your name and whether you live inside or outside the city limits. Mr. Clerk, has anyone signed in?
Nobody is signed in to speak.
Okay, does anybody want to speak? Come on up.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to come introduce myself. My name is Wei Ying Wong. I am living inside city limits, and I'm the new president and CEO of the Alaska Sea Life Center. I'm just here to introduce myself and say that we're excited to be working here and want to work with the city, and Kat is on our board. And we're excited to work with Kat and the rest of the city council to, really serve our community. So I just want to say hi, and that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to see you here. Does anyone else want? Come on up.
My name is Brad Ryan. I live outside the city limits. I am also with the Sea Life Center, and I'm here to introduce myself and say that I'm the new deputy director there. And I encourage any and all of you, if you want, to come down and chat with me about the Sea Life Center or the city and how we can work together, or what you'd like to see a collaboration on. I'm there and available most days of the week, and if not, Manager Sorensen knows how to get a hold of me. So, thank you.
It's good to put a face on the name. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Really? Okay, I'll close this portion and move to the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve in a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Are there any changes either administration or council would like to make? Councilmember Warner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to pull resolutions 2025-018 and 2025-019 from the consent agenda, please.
Thank you. That saved me from asking you a question. Any other changes? Okay, seeing none, I think we're ready to vote, Mr. Clerk, when you're ready.
Voting on the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda as amended. Osenga.
Yes.
Finch.
Yes.
Barnwell.
Yes.
Kreitz.
Yes.
Warner.
Yes.
Wells.
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Your agenda and consent agenda have been approved, and on the consent agenda were the approval of the January 27th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes, the introduction of Ordinance 2025-001, amending Seward City Code Title II, Agenda and Council Packet, introduction of Ordinance 2025-002, amending Seward City Code Title II, Chapter 2.30, Article 3, Port and Commerce Advisory Board, and introduction of Ordinance 2025-003, amending Seward City Code Title II, Chapter 2.30, Article 4, Historic Preservation Commission. And lastly, Resolution 2025-020, authorizing the city manager to purchase a new Toolcat UW56 from Craig Taylor Equipment, utilizing Sourcewell cooperative purchasing in the amount of $74,789 with a 10% contingency.
Okay, thank you. And I have moved the two resolutions that were pulled down to Section 10B resolutions, new business. Just so you know, I remembered to do it. Okay, that moves us to now the city manager report, which you'll find on page 5 if you have a packet. Madam City Manager.
Great, thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I'd like to highlight, I missed last meeting as I was attending the Cruise Line Industries Pacific Northwest Conference, and this was a really great opportunity to go down to Vancouver and meet with other other communities and industries from the cruise line agencies, and it was very unique because it was so geared to the Pacific Northwest. Usually when we attend conferences and different events throughout the state and the country, it can be geared towards so many other states or to interior Alaska, but this was such a concentrated 2-day event that highlighted a lot of the things that we hear in our communities often. So it was a really great opportunity to go down and learn and communicate with other coastal communities across the state. We also, while I was gone, I had some discussions with our federal and state lobbyists about the federal funding pause that was put forth by the executive administration. And I've worked through some of those, we've worked through some of those initial hurdles as we have to navigate and communicate with our federal representatives, but at this point the EPA funding for the Shore Power Grant is moving forward as expected. So we are going to submit some RFPs in the next couple of weeks to get that project really ramped up and ready to go. And we look forward to navigating that as we bring shore power to the new cruise ship terminal. Two other things I'd like to highlight in the city manager report. The first is, it's both my favorite time of year and finance department's least favorite time of year. The Build a Bouquet is on February 13th, a really awesome event at Parks and Rec. And then our finance department is beginning the audit work for 2024. So just a fun thing to highlight some things going on in our departments. And then I would also like to invite up our new library director, Yolanta, to speak a little bit about the things going on in her department and introduce herself.
So, is this on? I'm Yolanta Ryan. I'm the new library director, and we live outside of the city limits. My husband and 2 kids and a dog and I. We just moved here from Skagway about a month ago. So we're pretty excited to be here since Skagway is about 700 people, so this is much bigger. The exciting news from the library since I've been here is that we're open 6 days a week now. We're open Monday through Saturday. And this came about from a poll that the library had put on prior to when I got here, but it seemed like it was split 50-50. Some people wanted it to be open on Mondays and the other half wanted to be open on Saturdays. So we decided to open both days. And hopefully that'll work out. It seems to be working well so far. Some of the other highlights at the library, if you haven't heard, we have chess on Wednesdays at noon. Thursdays at 1:30 we have digital literacy classes. Friday at 12:30 we have story time. So please spread the word and come by and say hi. Okay. Yeah, anyone has any questions? I'm also happy to answer.
Super good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lanta.
Thank you.
And I went into the library today because I remembered I really wanted a book. And I was like, yes, it's open today. So I was super excited about the move to being open on Mondays.
Relative to that, the people that watch us and that read the manager's report know this, but can we put big signs or something outside the library just to let people know for a while that it is open Mondays?
Yes, so we currently have 2 big signs at the library. One, letting people know that it's Monday, that we're open on Monday, and the second one that we also recently installed sliding doors. So you do not need to push the new sliding doors. I know it's a hard habit to break. I know there's some twins that are missing some blue buttons down there, but the new sliding doors are really awesome too. So I would highly recommend everybody go to the library on a Monday and check out the doors.
Monday.
We have door counters, so we'll know.
Yeah, we'll know that you've been there. And that is all from me. Yeah, thank you.
Questions for the city manager? I have one that I know the answer to, but I'd like the public to know, maybe one of you. about the current status of the Jesse Lee home.
I am going to pass it along to the deputy
Thank you.
city manager.
Yeah, so I think the last time I spoke to you guys about this was in August or September, and so they had found some more material. Basically what has happened is, just to inform the public fully again, just to remind everyone where we're at, but when that home was there, they had giant bunkers, concrete bunkers, that's where they stored fuel. And so as concrete cracks, that tends to leak. And there was a couple other places, but they have diesel that is an oil that is seeped like way down into the ground, and they found it down to like 40 some odd feet. And so at this point, they kind of found all this in September they went and did more actually drilling to drill core samples to find out how deep it was in different areas. And their main concern was that is it getting to some sort of groundwater, but we showed them where all of our wells are located, and it's not like kind of in the runoff area of those types of things. And they don't really think that it's not like moving fast, and eventually like the earth tends to take care of its stuff, and they are dealing with very small like particulate results, so it's not heavy concentrations. So right now our engineers have been going back and forth after that last drilling with ADEC. And so they've asked ADEC for permission to basically just be done. That we know that's not getting underground water, we know how deep it goes, and that we would just be able to fill it back in, and then they would have restrictions on what we could do with that property as far as like if we ever wanted to dig, I think it's 20 or 25 feet down, then we'd have to do mitigation to move that out if, let's say, if we're going to pour like a really big deep foundation or something like that. And so they submitted that report to ADEC, and so hopefully we'll hear back from them in the next couple months with what we're hoping are the final results, and then we can move forward with the kind of the development of that property. And so we'll give you those results, and then also kind of probably plan a work session to kind of bring everyone back up to speed on how you guys want that to go.
That's what I was going to suggest, that we should be thinking about a work session to do the planning.
Yeah, we will.
Preemptively. So,
Okay.
good news, I think.
Yes.
Okay, are there any questions?
Just a
Councilmember
quick
Barnwell.
one for our city manager. The $400 or so thousand on the storm damage.
Yes.
There's no way for there's no disaster relief state fund.
No, that is unfortunately the cost of doing business in an electric utility.
Oh, do you want to speak to that, actually?
Yeah, so on October 11th, you may all remember we had a power outage that caused extensive damage to our transmission system, and all told, at the end of that storm, we saw a total cost of $377,000 to the city for that damage. The cost goes across labor and equipment, in-house labor and equipment, fuel for the generators, and then the post-run generator repairs. I think we mentioned it a little bit at the last meeting, but some of our generators, through that, we saw some deficiencies in them that we wanted to be sure to repair. We're also in the process of calculating the damage from the cost for our January 12th through 14th outage, and currently we're still waiting for labor both in-house and from Sturgeon, but following that we're seeing about $82,000 in fuel from the generators and $65,000 for tree clearing. So at the next council meeting I'll be bringing forth some resolutions to appropriate some funds from those as well. Since we had to move forward with the emergency payments of those, we'll have to bring those forward to get appropriations, but definitely something to keep in mind as we face these large storm and wind outages, or when we come to you and speak about needing preemptive tree clearing. It's to get ahead of these larger big incidents, because a lot of these were trees falling into lines along those lines. So.
Okay, thank you. I had meant to ask
Yeah.
about that. Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you for your report, sis.
Thank you.
Next we have the city attorney report, and we have our city attorney right there.
We do.
And you'll find his report on page 13 if you want to read. Or you can just listen to him.
Well, yeah, as I normally do, I'll keep it brief so we can move on. I'm trying to do 90 seconds or less. The two that I thought I would just highlight are under planning. It says we advise the planning department. And the reason I wanted to highlight that is it's been good. Rob Palmer is the attorney I've mentioned, who was the Juneau city attorney, who we recently He was 6 months ago hired. And he's been doing a lot of work with the planning department, which has just been great. He has, we all have expertise in that area. You have to practice in this field, but he has maybe more, and it's just different because it's from another, he's been somewhere else and has a fresh perspective on it. So he's been doing a lot of work. The other benefit of that is if there's ever an appeal or something, we need to have 2 attorneys so that somebody kind of works with staff and then somebody works with, if the council were acting as the decision-making body. And so it's nice to have another attorney working on it. That way we've got the built-in 2 people already. So we're checking in as we go, but he's doing a lot of that work. It's been working out well, I think. The other one was, last time I was here, I talked about the very large boat over by Tim McDonald's. And over Christmas, I filed a motion asking the judge to continue to be patient for a little bit, but that if it doesn't get moved, to give the city the authority to move it and then bill the owner. The judge in Kenai has been very, very slow lately, but thankfully granted that pretty quickly. So he gave 60 days from January 30th, so until the end of March, for the person to move the vessel, and if not, gave the city the green light to go ahead and move it, or do whatever needs to be done, and just kind of provide some degree of notice to the owner as we're going about that, and then to that we can get a judgment for those costs. It's still preferable if people will do that kind of thing themselves rather than try to recover the money after the fact. But the other little piece with that I was happy about was I asked for just a $1,000 fine now to be imposed, which is just enough to make somebody realize that we're serious while not bankrupting him so much that he can't take the steps to get rid of the vessel. And the judge said, yes, that's fine. We could do more at the end of the case as needed or as desired, but the judge said, yeah, that's due within 30 days or something. Just a little bit to say, hey, you can't leave your stuff on city land. So that's coming along well, and I was just glad the judge granted it, everything we had asked for. So we'll hopefully see some progress on that. We saw some machinery out there the other day. So
yeah, they've cleared the property around the boat, and they're pushing dirt up to it so they can actually start working on the boat. So, yeah.
I don't know if it's been decades in the making, but I've been involved for a while, so it's refreshing to see moving forward. That's it.
Okay.
Unless there's questions.
Questions for Sam? He's here.
Okay.
Okay, I knew it.
I've been meaning to ask this for a while, but that's a barge, right? That vessel's a barge.
No,
So it doesn't.
no.
Oh,
It's a landing craft. It's a World War II landing craft, naval.
So it has fuel on board?
We don't know.
I'm just curious why, if the city couldn't have negotiated it, some sort of compromise, is it, I mean, to leave that there intact, is that an option, or do we have to get rid of that as a city?
I mean, I guess if we wanted it.
I mean, it's been there for decades.
We've also wanted it to move for decades.
It's not too late. If the city wanted that, I bet I could make.
The reason I'm asking is if we're considering paying for that and maybe not getting paid back for that, maybe that's something we might want to think about.
Yeah, but in my understanding, I don't think it has much value, really. I don't know if.
I think it's scrap value.
No, I'm saying, if the city has to pay to move it, I would assume that would be a fairly expensive operation.
I think so. We've gotten quotes that are, and I just don't have it up. We've been so focused on getting him to do it that we've never really gotten an actual quote. We've tried to connect him with some people because he doesn't live here. He's in like Bethel. And so we don't have a solid quote, but I think it would be expensive. And then what we would do is get a judgment against him that would allow us to collect that money if he owns property or gets a PFD. We can extract it that way. It's not a silver bullet, but that's doing the best we could do.
Okay.
So,
Just thought I'd bring that up, talk about it later if we needed.
yeah.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you very much for being here and coming down.
You're welcome.
All right, we have a presentation tonight that everybody's waiting for. It is the Fire Department 2024 Year in Review. We have our fire chief right there. And we have a packet here.
Packet?
Yeah, sure. I'll introduce Clinton, our fire chief, and I'll also just add at the beginning of this, this is the first of several. I always forget exactly how many departments we have in the city because there's many, but this is the first of several presentations we'll have throughout the year of the different department heads coming in and talking about what their department does, utilizing it as an opportunity to showcase more than just the resolutions and the ordinances, but everything that Clinton and his team and all the departments and their teams do on a daily basis to make this city of Seward operate. So I do want to, before we start, give Clinton a big kudos for being my guinea pig in this journey for this presentation. So thank you, Clinton.
Wasn't necessarily going to go page by page, but if you have a question on something on the page, we can talk about it. But I just wanted to highlight the fire department and what we've done in the past year, 2024. First, our mission at the fire department is we're dedicated to the protection of life and property through prevention, education, and emergency response. So everything we do is centered around that mission. And then on page 3, you'll see our vision and our goals, if you want to take time to read that later. So last year, we ran 510 incidents. About 10 fires is about 2%, 349 were EMS rescue calls, which is about 69%. And the other 29% are anything from service calls, like getting someone stuck out of an elevator, false alarm calls, you name it, we've done it. So normally in the last 2 years ago, we were at 300. We thought we were pretty hot shots when we hit 300. And in 2 years, we've jumped to 510. Today, I ran call number 76 of the year. So we should be around call 30. So I have no idea what we're going to do at the end of this year. So with those calls, the time spent from responding from the station, get on the scene, handle the call, get back to the station, totaled 2,522 hours. So if you think of a normal 40-hour-a-day work week is 2,080 hours, that's 442 more hours than a normal work person would put into a job. And that's how much time we spent on incidents last year. So that was a pretty impressive number when I pulled that up. And on page 9 through 11, it goes through several our hottest months and time of day of calls. You can see obviously it spikes there around May, kind of continues on through the year. And then time of day, Saturdays tend to be our busiest call volume. All right, so I think it's out of order, but can you find the fire marshal page? So the fire marshal, Tyler Mallory.
I have a question. Can we interrupt?
Thank you, Chief. I see you got 13% as false alarms. Okay, and I'm just curious, does that mean that you still left the building on a false alarm?
Yeah, so
okay.
A false alarm, we actually get there, find out it was a false alarm through investigation. What we call 611, a dispatch and canceled en route would fall in that other 29% of service calls.
Thanks.
That's kind of rare.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks.
So really proud of our fire marshal. Got hired on last year. He's just put his nose into the books and been studying. He's actually going to the National Fire Academy for 2 weeks to get his fire investigator in 3 weeks, 4?
About a month.
About a month. And him and our building official will be down in Vegas at the ICC Building and Fire Code Conference here in a couple of weeks. But what he has done, he's organized 14 different events, and we've put him down right at 90 man-hours performing those public education events all throughout the community, everything from at the Touch a Truck to the elementary school and various other events. He also performed 384 fire and life safety inspections. And that he wasn't busy enough, he started a Fire Explorer program, which is like a cadet program for 14 to 18-year-olds. on top of being football coach, right? So we all know he's got plenty of time on his hands. Our Explorers, we started with 8. We added another one this month, so we're up to 9. All but one have their ETT, which is Emergency Trauma Technician. And we have one actually going to start EMT class in a couple weeks. And so that's pretty cool because she's actually going to turn 18 right soon after the program is finished, so she'll be a certified EMT. They logged 195.25 hours of community education and community hours. Our building department, we issued 61 building permits with a total valuation of $8.3 million. So lots being built in Seward. We've got a lot more coming this fall, or this spring. And the cruise ship terminal has been in contact with us. They should be submitting their plans any day now for their construction. So we're excited about that. On the training side, both Chief McCoy and Firefighter Woodard, all members total 3,737 training hours. It's almost 1,000 more than we did in 2023. So we really stepped up our training game. Some of our members took ETT for a second time for research. So we had quite a few ETTs this year. That was an emergency trauma technician. We had 6 go through a driver operator program, 3 through an advanced EMT class. And so those 3 advanced EMTs are just shy of a paramedic. Pretty amazing what they can do. Our fire marshal obtained his national certification as a public fire and life safety educator, and Firefighter Woodard got his national certification for a fire apparatus driver operator. We have EMT 1 class starting on the 17th this month, and we have a Firefighter 2 class starting this spring. And to highlight a couple of our other accomplishments, I think we mentioned this in one of the city manager newsletters, but Deputy Fire Chief Catherine McCoy was awarded the Ken Ackerley Leadership Award by the State Fire Marshal's Office, so we're extremely proud of that. As we mentioned at the work session, we completed the 15% design engineering, so you can imagine how much work that was this year. We were awarded the Dennis Leary Firefighters Foundation grant for $15,000 for a forcible entry trainer, so that's going to be used throughout departments all across the east side of the peninsula. Thank you again very much. Adding the 2 additional firefighters, much needed. The interviews for that start around February 26th. As I mentioned in the work session, Firefighter Harrington got engine 42 up and running. We're extremely excited about that. Cannot wait for that. And 3 minutes, here we go. Worked on the hazardous mitigation plan with KPB, OEM's office. That is required for our city to have for several grants, and when we had emergencies such as the landslide, you have to have a hazardous mitigation plan in place. Very fortunate that the borough opened up working with us and collaborated on that instead of Chief having to do all of it by himself. So thanks to Brenda Alberg over there for including us. We're keeping training, equipment, and testing, so we want to maintain that ISO level of 3 that we have. Very important for commercial fire insurance. My goal is to one day have an ISO 2 here. That's with the new station and some other stuff, but that would be phenomenal. Be one of the only ones in the state. We are currently applying with the state of Alaska for our BLS, Basic Life Support Response License, and obtaining a medical director so that we can increase our level of EMS care provided at the fire department. If we get there first before SVAC, we're able to do a few more advanced things than we are right now. Page 20 highlights some of the initiatives we have for 2025. I wanted to add on there, I didn't have this, but we are looking to have an outsider come in and help us with a strategic plan for 5, 10, and 20 years to tell us, doesn't need to be what Clinton thinks we should be here in 5 years. I want someone to come in and help us collaborate together and find out what the community, ask the community members, ask council members, city staff, where do you see your fire department in 5 to 20 years? Real quick, almost done. Annual awards banquet is this Wednesday, the 12th, so you'll be seeing a press release Thursday about all our recipients for 2024's awards, Firefighter of the Year, Distinguished Service, Community Service Awards. And then lastly, just enough time to thank my volunteer firefighters that we have. They are so awesome. We've got a really good group. They're motivated. They're going to a lot of trainings. You guys can't believe how much time they spent They work their full-time job, and they come and spend hours and hours, sometimes all day, Saturday and Sundays, to get some of these certifications. So I want to thank them. We can't thank them enough, and we can always use more volunteers. I made it in time.
That's incredible. And we could ask questions. Does anyone have any questions for Chief Kreitz? Yeah, go ahead.
Great. I just more so of a comment. Thank you so much for providing this presentation. It just made me smile and so happy to see all the amazing things that you guys are doing. And I'm really excited for the Fire Explorer program and bringing in the youth. I think that's huge to ensure that we continue to have individuals interested in this field. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good presentation. I love it when people keep track of the 10 minutes. Okay, well, that brings us to some business. We have now, what do we have now?
Unfinished business?
The unfinished business, yes. Resolution 2025-007, which was on, we postponed it. Do you want to, how do you want to present this? Do you want to just read this for the public and then we'll talk about the substitute?
Y'all go ahead and read the title into the record and then we'll hand it over to administration.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So this resolution had a public hearing already and it was postponed on January 27th. And this is resolution 2025-007, recommending Kenai Peninsula Borough approval of the preliminary plat of the property located at 3207 Sorrel Road, creating the Spring Creek Park replat.
Okay, and it was postponed because some of us wanted it fixed up a little bit better, and there's an amendment that needed to be made. So, administration, you want to talk about what we need to do next, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe what we need to do is motion to adopt the substitute resolution, and you should be good to go.
Okay.
And I think there is one, once the substitute resolution is on the floor, I believe there is a suggestion for an amendment to, so we can come to
Yes,
that
there
later.
is.
Yes.
I told Jason he would take this one, and then I bailed on it last minute, so I'll let.
Okay, so I will move to adopt the substitute resolution 2025-007, and I need a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. And there was a request to make an amendment, which we'll go ahead and then we can discuss the whole deal. And the amendment, if I'm correct, would be to remove section 2?
Yes, Madam Mayor. So an amendment to strike section 2.
Strike. And so I will move to strike section 2 of the substitute resolution, if I could get a second.
I'll second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded, and then administration, one or the other of you guys, could you explain why we just did that?
Yeah, I'll invite Courtney up to speak to that.
There we go, just so the public knows what's going on.
Right, and I won't give my thorough explanation that I gave last time, but essentially, the recommendation from Planning and Zoning was to put in a 10 to 20 foot pedestrian easement, but when staff and the surveyor went back to the plat to see where we could put that in, there was not a suitable location for that easement, and so we already have plans to rezone the entire property to park, which will make the entire parcel accessible to the public for the foreseeable future, so there's no need for a pedestrian access easement.
Okay, thank you, and we could discuss my amendment, which would be striking section 2, and then we'll vote on that. So is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay, Mr. Clerk, we could vote on the amendment?
Okay, this is voting on the amendment to strike section 2 from the substitute resolution. Kreitz?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Finch?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
So that motion has passed and the main motion as amended is back on the floor.
Okay, and the main motion is to adopt this substitute resolution. Is there any discussion? Okay, we're ready to vote on that. Mr. Clerk?
Okay, final vote for substitute resolution 007 as amended. Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
Finch,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay, and thank you for cleaning it up. That just, probably could have done it, but this was much tidier, so thank you very much for your extra work on this. So next, we have Resolution 2025-017. Mr. Clerk, when you're ready, could you please read that?
Resolution 2025-017, authorizing the city manager to fund the vacant full-time teen and youth center program assistant position in Parks and Recreation for oversight of the teen rec room in the amount of $75,000 and appropriating funds.
Okay, and you'll find that on page 81 of the packet. I need a motion to approve in a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of Resolution 2025-017.
And I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this resolution will fund a vacant full-time teen youth center program assistant position at the newly reopened under City of Seward Administration Teen Youth Center. First and foremost, I want to applaud Mel and her whole team. The new redesign of the Teen Youth Center is really amazing, and they've been seeing 10 to 15 teens there every day since reopening. You may remember when we had that very snazzy slideshow presentation, one of the requests in there was we would be coming back requesting an additional position. At first, we thought we would have to remake this position because when the Teen Youth Center previously closed, it was directed to cancel the positions and pay the PERS termination fee. So once we got approval from council to reopen the Teen Youth Center and do so with some part-time employees, we started to really dig into what had happened with those positions, how much we had paid, what kind of loss that would look like for us. And upon digging, we realized that it never happened. So this is one of those situations where we're really lucking out by a previous clerical error because these positions were never fully terminated. So instead of creating a new position but taking that loss of the termination PERS fee or having to add additional positions, we're just able to fund this currently vacant position. That being said, we're only funding one of the two vacant positions because at this time the Parks and Rec staff is confident that they can do that and move along in that way. So the other position will still remain unfunded, but we're really looking forward to being able to have this full-time staff member funded again to have a lot of activities and create that like one-on-one connection with the teens and have that static person there each day to interact with. The $75,000 is both salaries and benefits, so that is a full position for somebody coming in at, I think, about a 2 or 3 step with a full benefits as well. And I'll invite Mel up to add anything that I missed, but I really wanted to highlight that history of the previous positions because I know that there had been some back and forth on terminating it and paying that PERS termination fee in the past, but I would just like to reiterate that that had never been paid for these positions and this position.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This for February calendar for the teen rec room. We're pretty excited to open it up on January 20th. We opened the teen rec room, and right off the bat we had 16 teens show up. So pretty excited about that. Yeah, and like Kat explained it all. In 2019, the Boys and Girls Club entered in a contract with the city to provide services for the 12 to 18-year-old, which left that vacant full-time position. The teen rec room is in need of a full-time staff member who can create a safe, supportive environment where teens can build social skills, navigate challenges, and receive mentorships. This would help with the sense of belonging and can help reduce the risk of youth involvement in negative behaviors. This position would allow for a deeper, more consistent engagement with teens, building stronger connection and proactive support with teen empowerment. Having a devoted full-time position ensures program consistency, which we are going for, allowing for better planning and long-term sustainability for this program. So thank you for your time and consideration, and if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councilmember Wells.
Thank you. Was this in the budget?
No, so this was not budgeted for, so this is appropriating the funds to budget for that.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
as we were discussing the budget this year and the bringing back of the teen youth center, it was my understanding that this would be a bit of a more tedious process. So we didn't budget for it at that time because I thought we would have to create the positions and bring them back and find about that termination fee. But we kind of, like I said, lucked out with not having to go through those hurdles.
Councilmember Barnwell.
Yeah, I toured the rec room, the team room recently.
Did you?
And it was awesome.
Yes.
It's really well done. It was really, really impressive. You probably know, I'm probably one of your biggest fans for Parks and Rec. And with that team room, I'm really excited about it. But I do have to say, one thing I think we as a city, we really should, I just look at what you've done and what the Parks and Rec has done in the last couple of years and think that it's, your presence and your amount of influence in the city is probably 200 or 300% of what it was in 2019. It's amazing. But I also want to make sure we don't overextend ourselves in too many employees.
Right.
That we have. We're at least make sure that the public realizes that we are being careful with spending our money. But we're getting so much for our money right now. But I just think it would be really good to always be clear of what we're spending and how many employees we have. That's just my 2 cents. Because I want it to continue, but I don't want, I want to make sure people understand what we're spending and what we're getting for it.
Okay, any other questions or comments for administration? You ready to vote? Looks like we're ready to vote, Mr. President.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2025-017. Kreitz?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
Finch?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay. Now we have Resolution 2025-018, which was removed from the consent agenda. It's got a rather lengthy little title there. Could you read it for us?
I'll take a shot at it. Resolution 2025-018, authorizing the city manager to apply for a loan with the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation Clean Water Fund for $547,500 with loan forgiveness of $250,000, leaving a balance of $297,500 and appropriating funds to be funded by the City of Seward for Lowell Point Lagoon blower improvements.
Okay, and you'll find that on page 40. I'd need a motion to approve in a second, please.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-018.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This loan with the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation Clean Water Fund is an exciting opportunity, and I can let Doug speak to the intricacies of the project itself. But one reason why we requested this be pulled tonight is Doug and his crew were able to facilitate a loan forgiveness of an additional $250,000. So we'll need to amend. I will request that somebody motion to amend the resolution to read a forgiveness amount of $500,000 rather than $250,000.
Okay. So, Doug, thank you.
Yes, very exciting. As we go through these, we are out looking for these funds to be able to do some projects that we have out there. We've got a couple of different ones. We're already working on the Lowell Canyon tank, which, if you remember, was a $1,900,000, and we were able to get $1,500,000 forgiven off of that. We're working on all these projects to try to get whatever funding's out there. Typically, there's a 10%. Some of these are just now through the state revolving fund, just a total forgiveness that you give on it. So this one has just worked out really well to be able to bump it up to $500,000, and this particular one is for blowers out at Lowell Point. They're the original blowers, and what I mean by the blowers, they blow the air to aerate the lagoon and keep everything working right. And we've had a couple of breakdowns on those originals, and I believe they're from 1982 in there. So we want to upgrade to some better, more efficient blowers and hopefully get another 40, 50 years out of them.
Okay, thank you. questions for Doug? Well, I'll go ahead and make I'll move to amend Resolution 2025-018, in the middle of it there where it says loan forgiveness of $25,000, I'm going to ask to amend it to loan forgiveness of $500,000. And I'd ask for a second, please.
To clarify, Madam Mayor, it's from $250,000 to $500,000 rather than 25.
Oh, I thought I said 250.
Doug's good, but he's not that good.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Pretty good.
Wow.
Okay, let me restate. Changing $250,000 to $500,000. It's been seconded. Discussion? Okay.
Who seconded the motion? The clerk didn't catch it, I'm sorry. Finch?
Okay, we're ready to vote on the amendment.
Okay, so this is voting on the amendment to increase the loan forgiveness up to $500,000. And I'm going to assume not only the title, but throughout the document.
Yes, Doug.
Right, and just to follow through on the whole resolution, that it brings the total repayment from 247 down to 47,000, or 297 to
Right,
47,000.
is that within?
So throughout, like he was saying, just everything would change by that.
Just fix it within the context. Do we have to go through line by line, or can you just do that?
We can make the amendment and do the math as
Okay, you
applicable.
can do the math? Okay, so that's what I moved.
Ready to vote on the amendment? Okay. Finch?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure?
Yes.
Okay, that amendment has passed and the main motion as amended is back on the floor.
Okay, any discussion other than this is an incredible opportunity? Okay, seeing none, we're ready to vote on the main motion.
Okay, final vote for the main motion as amended, Resolution 2025-018. Finch?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure?
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay, thank you. And we have one more item. Resolution 2025-019, which was removed from consent. When you're ready, Mr. Clerk, can you please read that?
Resolution 2025-019, authorizing the city manager to apply for a loan with the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation Drinking Water Fund for $432,000 with loan forgiveness of $432,000 to fund the new water meter project.
Okay, and you'll find that on page 45. And I'd need a motion to approve in a second, please. Okay, one of you guys has to do it.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-02. Oh, sorry. Make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-019.
And I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Administration, this was removed. I'll ask you to speak first and then.
Great, thank you, Madam Mayor. I will turn to Doug so he can describe a little bit of this project and what a new water meter project is.
Okay. On both of these projects, the prior and this one, we are approving to the city manager to ask for the loan. It's one of the requirements. We have to have the council approval. Is just one of those check boxes we have. These are the amounts that they have shown that we have to be able to use, but we still have to go through the paperwork to get the loan, to get the approval. But this is asking your permission to go through that loan process, and we will be accepting those funds at some point in the future too. As far as the this particular 019, this is for new water meters, and when I say new, it's for folks that don't have water meters on commercial buildings right now. We're looking as far as the water rate study. It's been almost 5 years we've been in that water rate study. Water sewer hit COVID. There was a lot of stops going through that, some disagreement on different rates of how they would go. But one thing there wasn't disagreement on was trying to move away from ERUs for the confusing part of the whole business rate system. That's what this is the first step to do that. We were able to get another one, 434,000 with full forgiveness of 434,000. So that was a really good thing. What we're looking at right now in the program, we just ordered last week a pilot study or a pilot test on some smart meters that we're trying to work through, similar to what you have electric, where they can report in remotely, whether it be a drive-by instead of having to go dig through the snow to get there. Ideally, these ones they send a signal, and as you they'll go to the cloud type of thing. So that's what we're looking at. That's a pilot study. It was very inexpensive. I believe it was under $2,000 or right close to $2,000 to get several of these meters in to give them a try and see if that's the exact way to go. But we've been working on that for a long time, trying to figure out which meters. Ideally, what we're trying to do with these meters is what we at least put into our rate study was to fund the meters and portion of the installation. If we can fund the full installation, that'll be the next step here with you guys to say, here's how much we have to put these in. This includes, you can spend this on both, depending on how much the meters cost. But here we are 4 years, 5 years into it. The meter cost has doubled and tripled too. So we want to be cognizant of that to get those out. Ideally in the future, then we would work for some other funds to then upgrade the current meters that we have, so then we would get all the meters in line with what we're doing. But the water meter system, it just is a much better way for the billing. It simplifies all of our billing through town. It simplifies a lot of the questions that we've had with commercial customers, especially when you have to go count apartments or count how many bathrooms, and it's just not a fun thing for them or us to go through that. So this is a good step in it, and it's kind of a pre-step that's coming with the next few things. I'm working with Kat to bring the rate study or a portion of the rate study that would at least get these meters going and start working that. The full rate study, we did have some different pushback, and we're cognizant of the fact that folks, nobody wants to pay more for utilities because everything keeps getting more expensive. We're really trying to hold that the best we can, and I think by stepping to at least start these portions that we can do and work them in, and it allows us then to really see what revenues we have. We'll probably drop a little revenue, which we're tight right now for revenue for operations, but as we get the meters, ideally we want to get it to a single rate. Right now we have 5 different blocks for the meters, and it's a declining rate. If you remember the rate study, when he did presentations, it's more of a pay for what you use, but where do we get that middle line that makes it as equitable as you can, but yet still provides the revenue needed to do that. But boy, for the city itself, it simplifies all the billing and all the invoicing. It's a big deal. So that's what this is for. I'm really excited that we're able to get it and to bring something back to you to then, as we get this going, to get it in place rate-wise and get that done.
Okay, I just have a request. Because of chatter on Facebook, could you make it clear that this is strictly for water meters and for duplexes and bigger?
This is strictly for commercial properties and their water meters.
Okay.
Exactly
water,
right.
Not
Water
smart
only.
meters for it's not
It's
electric.
nothing to do with electric
anyway.
on this one.
Okay, I just wanted that
The other-
heard because.
Our other good guys,
Target
that's theirs. But
words.
this is for water meters, and I'm sorry I didn't jump on
No,
that. but
I
that
knew, I
explains
just
it.
wanted it said again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councilmember
I
Brumlow.
just think we should get Doug to, maybe work with all the directors in the city to get this loan forgiven, to get training for all these.
I want to say how much work that really is that we're putting into these things, that as I go through them, as Naneth over there now, the reporting on them, thankfully the state revolving fund, which has drinking water funds and clean water funds. So drinking water, of course, is water. Clean water is wastewater. And so they have these funding programs. They've been really good to work with, but they're the best ones as far as having to report. These other grants we get that we're working on, typically 10% share, and oh my gosh, they're just really piles of paperwork to get through to get them. So I thank the state for what they're doing and helping us out and working through these things on that revolving fund. It's a good thing.
Excellent. Other questions, comments? No? We're ready to vote? We're ready to vote.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2025-019. Osenga?
Yes.
Finch?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Warner?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay, thank you. That's our business, amazingly enough. I want to mention that our next meeting day will be the 24th, and we have a work session at 5:30, and now it is going to be...
So previously, we had a work session scheduled to discuss the Forest Acres of Fognot subdivision.
Right.
But we've decided to change that discussion to be on the electric utility and some of the projects we have going on there instead. And so the Forest Acres work session has been rescheduled till March 24th.
Okay.
We have a slew of work sessions coming your way, so I appreciate you all.
And then following that at 7, we'll have our regular meeting. So this brings us to citizen comments. This is the 5-minute per speaker time, and there's no sign up for it, and if you want to speak, just raise your hand, and I'll call you right up. Yes, you in the back there. You need to state your name and whether you live inside or outside the city limits.
Doug Schessler, inside the city limits, Public Works Director. I just wanted to clarify that I kind of forgot to mention the Finance Department as far as all the paperwork we do. I was just gently reminded about that. So not only do we do a lot, the Finance Department also does an awful lot to keep us.
Okay, thank you.
You're killing her, Doug. You're killing her.
He got elbowed.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Boy, really? That gives us more time to talk? Okay. Okay, brings us to council administration comments and responses to citizen comments. Madam City Manager, you want to kick it off?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to thank you for funding that position at the Teen Youth Center. It's been really exciting to watch Mel and her team, like Bob said, kind of grow over the course of the past 2 or 3 years. And while recognizing that growth has happened quick, it was also coming from a place of contraction. So we're expanding these positions, but it's still less than the positions we had previously had. And I'd also like to say that they will not let me hang out at the Teen Youth Center to play Catan, so I'm still reeling from that, but it's okay. I'll get over it. I'm not a teen anymore. Other than that, thank you all for sending me down to Vancouver again. I thought that was a really great experience and a good opportunity to connect with other port communities throughout the state.
Mr. Bickling?
No comments, thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay, Councilmember Warner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My only comment is that we do have some school closure dates coming up on February 13th, 14th, and 17th, and I want to acknowledge Parks and Rec that they're going to be having the teen room open early during those days, so definitely appreciate that.
Okay, that's it. All right. Councilmember Finch. Let's change it out. Oh. No, I'm going to let you go.
I agree with this.
Retire.
Correct with the youth group. I remember my kids growing up, I wouldn't let them go because of the things that were going on there. So it's nice to see that's improving drastically. And thanks for everybody tonight talking. And Doug, keep finding those freebies.
Yeah. Okay, Councilmember Kreitz.
Same thing, want to thank everyone, the teen center and Doug, the presenters that came for the fire department. I've been, as a volunteer, been seeing some of it, but it was nice to get kind of their take on things and just keeping in mind that this is a 50-year building. So,
right,
yeah, just got to go with the growth for 50 years. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Barnwell.
Yeah, the fire department thing was pretty cool. And I'm a huge, I mean, when I first got on council, that was the first aha. I was like, oh my gosh, the police and the fire departments are absolutely have to be, we need to get those new buildings. But having said that, we also have to buy another, we have to get another police building. And we have other costs. For instance, this building is in dire need of repair. So I just don't know how, I get worried. I probably do this at home too on my own finances, but how do we pay for everything, you know? I also would like to make sure that admin, I'm really excited about the electrical department works study. I'd like an update on the rate, what's going on with Chugach for our negotiations for the rates.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other one.
So, if you don't mind me interrupting,
Yeah.
I'll also add that Arthur Miller from Chugach Electric will be giving a presentation at our next council meeting in February as well. So, it's going to be a big, heavy electric department one next month.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it would be really nice to have a lay down, actually for the public too, that just has the breakdown of the different phases, how we paid for those. Like, we still don't really know what the bond, well, we know how much the bond was, but what it actually paid for. And then where we're really at in totality for this whole project. In addition, I'm sure you guys are going to talk about the generators and what shape they're in and what we need for those. So I know there's a lot there.
You're giving it all away.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
It's a lot. I'm excited about it. I think that's it. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Councilmember Wells,
All
you've
right.
got a huge list.
Well, it's just because I write in big letters. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, a huge shout out to the architects and the engineers and R&M and everybody working on the fire station is extremely impressive, and I'm really excited to see that. And I want to thank the new director of the library for coming in, and the new director and president of the Sea Life Center for coming in. That was great to get to put a face to the names. And one more time, Doug and the finance department, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll be by your office later this week to figure out how you can get me some money. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Osenga, you don't have a list.
No, I don't have a list. I'm going to wing it here. I would just say that it was a really good future fire hall, possibly a presentation that we had here tonight. I know that there are a lot of things going on in our city, but I also think that it's also very forward-looking, and I very much appreciate the efforts that's being put in by everybody on these things that we could possibly put together to make our city just that much better. And that was pretty much it. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Well, I also enjoyed the presentation. It was good to see Mayor Squires here. I knew he had to say something, as former fire chief, in case you didn't know who he was. I want to remind people that we still are asking for applications for planning and zoning. The deadline's coming up soon, so if you're interested living in the city limits, talk to the clerk, call the clerk's office. I'm going to say again, the library will now be open on Mondays, regular hours, which I'm very excited about. That was forward-thinking and wonderful of them to put out a poll and hear what people had to say, because I hear complaints about that a lot. And I want to give my own little personal shout out for something I'm doing. Resurrection Bay Historical Society, we have our third Thursday history presentation on the 20th, and Carol Hatch and I are leading just a sort of discussion, sharing about growing up in Seward and stories about going to school in Seward. I'm going to start with a kind of a brief overview of where the schools were and where we went to school. You'll find out where I went to kindergarten and how I got straight A's. And then we'll pass the mic and share some of the fun stories about, for example, Dan Seavey and Lee Pileski and a few people like that. So it should be a good time. It's free, and it'll be at the community room at 7 on the 20th. We won't have a meeting till then, so I had to, since I have the time, I would promote that. So are there any last comments, Madam?
I would like to add that unfortunately the library will be closed next Monday, as will all city offices for President's Day. So, but with that, the library's normal schedule, they'll follow the normal office closure schedules. They used to do Tuesdays, but now they will just follow the holidays.
Yeah, so don't go on Monday and scream at me, because everybody's closed on Monday for President's Day. Okay, anything else? All right, I will adjourn this meeting at 8:05, which is close.